Welcome to the Reflective Rebels podcast. We are joined on the sofa each episode by someone this series who's done a thing, and today we're joined by Greg from Team Evie. I'm Ben, a coach working with business owners and leaders, and I'm on a mission to spread joy, the kind of joy that comes from knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and having the confidence to go out there and do the thing. Greg, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to this. Start somewhere a little unexpected.
Okay.
Tell me your favourite day of the week.
Wowzer. I like them all, you know. That's
a nice answer.
I feel like I'm maybe a bit ridiculously positive.
Okay.
But I think I can find joy in every day. Friday's feeling like it's presenting itself to me, just because I feel like you've achieved a lot in the week. Kids finish school, ready to have a weekend of fun. So that feels...
Got that Friday feeling.
Crunchy advert, yeah.
Tell us about the perfect Friday evening then. What goes on?
I love a little routine.
Okay.
So, fish and chip Friday.
Every week?
Yeah, not from the chip shop. I'm not that flash, but...
yeah.
But yeah, girls get in from school, starting to have some family time, have a nice tea, we always watch a film or something together on a Friday, play some games, wherever, have some fun, and just ease into the weekend. So nothing too strict, but just having that family time is class.
Sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Last film you watched?
We went to the cinema recently and half watched the Mario film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not for me.
I fell asleep.
Me too. Me too. Not really sure what was going on. But,
I don't know what was going on.
So yeah, a bit full on. To be
I
honest,
kept waking up every now and again, and there wasn't really any dialogue. There was just a lot of noise. Every time I seemed to open my eyes ever so slightly.
Explosions, things flying around. I don't know what is going on with films at the minute, because the one before that we went to see was The Magic Faraway Tree.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep in that as well.
Oh, I did stay awake in that one.
And just kept waking up to think, what is going on? So,
is the theme kids' films or the themes that you're tired?
I think it's kids' films. I was tired in The Faraway Tree. It's a bit under the weather, been working particularly hard that week, and hit a wall and just dark, comfortable seat. And
bit warm.
We're out, yeah. So... But I know it's becoming the theme already, but we just love spending time together as a family. So we do, go to watch... If we go to the cinema, we go as a family.
Yeah.
I watched the Ballad of Wallace Island's the last proper film. That's it, Wallace Island, isn't it?
The name rings a bell, but...
Oh, it's superb.
I'm a bit with the... Super Mario, Magic Faraway Tree kind of... Yeah, but anything...
Ballad
suitable
of Wallace
for
Island is a top
someone who's older than 6 and
yeah. So that was me and Jill watched that. That was enjoyable.
At home or at the cinema?
At home, yeah. Awesome. What's he called? Tom. I can't think of the names, but anyway, definitely recommend it. It's awesome.
So, were your Friday nights like that as a child? How does that contrast with what Friday nights were like when you were a kid?
I mean, my memory is pants. I feel like I went swimming on a Friday night.
Right.
I think. I could easily be corrected there by my mum, but...
it was hockey.
Yeah, aqua hockey. I'm pretty sure we did. And... but, how rubbish is that? Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think that seems to stand out as what we got up to. And then maybe went to my grandparents and stayed over sometimes as well, which I used to love. That's happy memories.
What was so good?
I just loved it. I used to go to one set of grandparents every Saturday, one every Sunday, and then sometimes on a Friday night as well. And just sort of, I thought they were ace. They'd spoil me, I suppose. Not as many rules as the grandparents. I used to play cards with my granddad, which I used to enjoy. And so just having a good time.
Sounds good. Lots of family memories there as well.
Yeah. Happy memories.
So, family's important. Tell us why. Why is that family time important to you?
I think, I nearly said something really cringy there, but people will say, like, my family's my world. I guess we exist as a family. So that's my thoughts the whole time. As life goes on, when you're younger, everything's spent with you, all your time spent with your mates at uni and after uni and our work colleagues and all that. And that's just how it is. And then I think I'm so happy and settled and with Jill and the girls that's what we do. And our friends live all over the world now, which I guess happens to everyone. Hope it does, not just us.
They've literally left the country.
They couldn't stand me that much. They've had to work on cruise ships. But that's what we do. We spend time with the girls together. I'm really aware, especially with everything that's happened in our lives, of how valuable that time is with the kids. So trying to have as much of that as we can and enjoy our time with them and enjoying their personalities growing and I try and look at, again, being really positive, like enjoy every stage. Like the girls are 7 and 9 now and like they're brilliant. Good fun, sense of humour, love having a good time and so enjoyable to spend time with. So it is just what I do. And obviously my job, which I'm sure we'll come on to, but is family as well. I'm parenting Evie during the day and then parenting the girls after. So it's my thought every waking hour, I suppose, but not in a bad way, in that I just love it.
That's really great. We'll come back to that, but let's jump. Tell me when you met Jill.
So I met Jill when I was training to be a teacher in Newcastle.
So you're doing a PGCE or a degree?
I was doing something that doesn't exist now. It was a GTP, I think are the right letters.
Graduate Teacher Programme.
Yeah. So I had my degree and then I was just
So what was your degree in?
Music. Jazz, pop and commercial music. Yeah.
I remember you briefly mentioning this.
Yeah. So
hang on, we have to go back then, because
right.
How do you end up doing a degree in jazz, pop and commercial music?
Right, so
that's too interesting for me to leave there.
Well, so I learned the keyboard / piano from 7, 8 years old. Love music and I'm all right at it. So it was...
All right, you went on and did a degree.
Yeah, but like going back to... So I can...
You can play the piano.
Play the piano and then...
So were you just doing that, literally just learning? Were you playing in public at all when you were a kid or doing anything?
Not massively. I mean, I used to bits and bobs. So there was like the church that our family went to that every now and again I'd maybe play something there that was in front of people, and at school or here, but not that much when I was younger. And then when I was a teenager, discovered like Oasis and that type of music that's like I'm right into as well. So taught myself to a degree how to play the guitar, and then started doing a bit of that. And then when it got to sort of crunch time of what you're going to do now, like, well, what can I do? Like, music's my thing, so better do that because I'll be able to manage doing that. I wasn't really an academic, never have been, never will be. So my school time was all like, let's have a good time. My mum's just been clearing out the house in the last few weeks and dug out all my school reports, which has been a bit of an eye-opener. What
was the line that was repeated? Was there a line that just...
some of them were essentially like wasted potential. Essentially was our theme. That could be a motto. that I could be very capable, but just wasn't interested in trying because I was too busy having a good time. The line that sticks out, though, is he has a very advanced sense of humour. That's what I'm taking from the whole academic programme. So I got to let's decide what you're going to do at uni, and thought, well, I'll have to do music. So I got onto this course in Newcastle. Quite a few of my good friends were going to Northumbria uni, so it was a bit of a comfort blanket, even though I was separate from them. So it was at Newcastle College, the degree, and it was great. And then, although like it's jazz, pop and commercial, and you'd think like, let's do pop and commercial because that's where the fun is. And it was all like jazzers who were trying to look down their nose at you because they were better than you. How dare you, like Oasis type of vibe. Anyway, met some really good people and played in a soul band, and that's happy memories, doing that, going around playing weddings and whatnot. So yeah, so that's and then when I finished uni, it's like, well, I don't really know what I'm going to do now. Another stage of bred the music. So I was playing in the band, I was teaching piano privately, and I got a job selling pianos. So that, you know, when you're in your early 20s, what I'll do, like, just need to be able to pay for what I want to pay for and have a good time. So that was ideal. And then I got to the point where, you know, I don't know, for me, there's only so long I could work selling pianos. I wasn't really going to, in the job I was in, have much progression anywhere. And I think I'd considered teaching. My sister was a primary school teacher. My mum had always worked in schools. But I was aware you don't just sort of bundle into that career without knowing that you really want to do it.
You've got to want to do it, yeah.
So then I found the GTP, and it was a paid route because at that, you know, once you're working and once you've got a mortgage and everything, you know, it's like, well, I can't just sort of go back to being a student.
Yeah, switch this off.
So that enabled me to change career but not miss out. And yeah, so that's how I've ended up on the GTP. You ended up there. Yeah. So yeah, when I started and then that's where I met Jill. You have to have a placement school. So she was working in that school and got on like a house on fire.
So was it music teaching you went to
No,
do?
Primary, sorry.
Primary teaching.
Yeah. So jack of all trades, master of none, essentially. And then, yeah.
So you met Jill there, because that's where the question started.
Yeah, sorry.
We had to. I couldn't not follow that up just because.
Covered 15 years before. But, so then, yeah, I met her there. And then I went on to, obviously, you just get your year and then you're out sort of thing. You have to find a job.
Gotta go and find a job.
But then I got a job and then, yeah, the rest is history. But I'm sure we'll cover it. But yeah, Jill's amazing. Like, couldn't have, you know, obviously I've married her, but never got on with anyone as well, just in terms of our sense of humour. She's amazing, she's beautiful, and was blown away by meeting her. So, again, coming back to how happy I am and why I'm so settled and why family is everything, like I couldn't possibly have found a better partner for life because we work spot on together with the top team. And actually, again, which we'll come on to, but everything we've been through together shows how right we are for each other, in that we've navigated that, and there's never been any, you know, everything we've done stood together and dealt with it together and looked after each other.
It's really amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a bit. I'm not very good at reflecting, even though I'm on the reflective podcast. Today's the day. But you know, it's stopping and reflecting. Yeah. I think I'm so driven by moving forward that to stop, it sort of blows my mind a little bit. That you go like, oh God, that is amazing. Like, how have I found her? You know, like that's bonkers. So yeah.
How did you? What was that initial spark? What
with Jill?
Yeah, what happened? And who initiated it?
Good question. I think
I'm testing your memory.
Yeah, I know. I think I was the one that was brave enough to just say like, right, I think we know what's happening here. Would it be out of order for me to suggest maybe we're more than just friends? I think it's pretty obvious. When you know, don't you? Although you still don't believe that the person who you think's like amazing would possibly be interested in you. But she was, thankfully. So it all turned out well. But yes, and then so that was honestly dates. But within sort of a couple of years, we were engaged, married. Jill was pregnant. Like we knew it was right.
So what year is this then? Just place us in time.
2010, maybe. We moved in 2012. So it'd have been 2010 I met her. Then we moved in 2012. We got engaged in 2012, married in 2013. And then Jill was pregnant end of 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, whirlwind, but when it's right, it's right.
Mm. And you're teaching at this point then?
Yeah, so we're both teaching in Newcastle, and then there'd been a few problems. My parents had both had health situations going on, and we were like 100 miles away. So we discussed it, and Jill had always had this feeling, some connection with the Lake District, and we started talking about she'd be nearer, and then a job came up in Cockermouth, and we're like, right, well, I'll go and have an interview. That can be the deciding factor. Apply.
Yeah.
A bit presumptuous, wasn't it? I'll apply, and if I get the job, then that's it. Decided we'll move, and I did. So we did, and I came up. Jill's from Gateshead originally, and so we came back to my home. Yeah, and then carried on teaching there. So I was working in Cockermouth, and loved it. I'd come from, I suppose the areas were sort of similar. In Newcastle, I was working in Jesmond, and then when we came over here, I was working in Cockermouth. So it's pretty similar school in terms of families and the children that I was working with. But yeah, loved it.
So should we talk about Evie?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So I assume that's the pregnancy that Jill is pregnant.
Yeah, she was our first.
This is Evie. Yeah.
So yeah, Jill was pregnant end of 2014, and then everything's going well. Then we went at the 20-week scan and at Whitehaven, and there was a few things, they were sort of unhappy that they couldn't check everything and something wasn't right. Referred us to fetal medicine in the RVI, and they discovered that at the time then, at the 20-week scan, that cardiac problems. So there was a large hole in I'll say her heart. We didn't know at the time. It was just the baby's heart.
Yeah.
And sort of a complex setup of different cardiac things that they'd not seen that combination before. So we're in very serious discussions then about, could the pregnancy continue? What would happen? But we were assured by the specialists, actually, there was a process that could happen, and there was a 3-step process of heart operations they would be able to do that would help and solve the problem, and then it would be a case of seeing how long that setup would last, and eventually you'd need a heart transplant. So that was our sort of prep at that time. And then through the pregnancy, other issues started to present themselves. Like Jill looked like she was carrying triplets because Evie wasn't able to swallow, which obviously we didn't know at the time. It was just like, what's going on?
Happening?
And so she was a suspected TOF baby, which is a tracheoesophageal fistula, which essentially means her windpipe and her esophagus were connected with a little bit that had grown extra, and her esophagus was just a little pouch and it didn't connect to her stomach, so she couldn't swallow anything. And so she had to be born in Newcastle, and it was confirmed as soon as she was born that she was a TOF baby, and that was in fact what the issues were, which was a life-saving operation on the first day of life. So everything was just crazy from moment one, really. I didn't get to hold Evie when she was born, which is obviously what you do, what you've waited for. She was taken off to the neonatal unit for them to assess her and check everything and help her. And then she was whisked away off to theatre that night to have this life-saving operation. And then when they came, the labour was actually quite a few days process. Really, it was really tough for Jill, and we hadn't slept for days. And then she was into this, I think it was about a 7-hour operation. So it was the middle of the night, really, when they came out. So you can imagine our state of mind at that point. We got taken into a room, and the guy was like, look, it's not been successful. Like, we've got her safe, but we haven't connected her back up. So you can't go home because she hasn't been, her esophagus hasn't been connected to her stomach. So you're in hospital for 6 months. And we hadn't, our preparation, as I said to you, was we'd have the baby, we'd go home, and then we'd wait until we needed this first heart operation. So suddenly we're just in Newcastle with none of our stuff. Right, 6 months, here you go, you're in hospital. And then everything from that point was just, whenever there was an option of like, this could happen and it'd be great and that would be a really positive outcome, or it might go this way, it was always the negative one for a blesser. It was just, she was a couple of weeks old, she had a cardiac and respiratory arrest out of the blue that had reconnected. That doesn't happen. The surgeon said you've got more chance of winning the lottery than that ever happened. It just doesn't happen. And again, they saved her, and her heart was on the wrong side, so why my jumper's backwards. Her lungs, she had lots of issues. One hadn't really formed, the other one wasn't very good for her. It was just, everything wouldn't work. So after 3 months, we managed to get home. They did another special operation, which meant she was even safer without machines, just so she wasn't dependent on some of them. And we managed to get her home for 3 weeks, which was divine intervention, I think, because we shouldn't have had her at home. Like, there was somebody's misread something or something's gone wrong, but she got to come home.
You did it.
And she met family she would never have met. And then, obviously, I'm whipping through 6 months here, feel free to dig in where if I'm not adding enough. But then, of course, as these things do, it always aligns itself to something you don't forget. But Jill's birthday, 6th of August, she just wasn't well. We were due an appointment in Newcastle. Rang the nurse who looked after us in Whitehaven, and she said, I'll just bring her through here, we'll have a look, and if you need help to get there. And then she collapsed in the car on the way to Whitehaven. And essentially she'd got too big, like just in 3 weeks she'd doubled in weight, and none of her medication had gone up, and it was just, everything was a bit too much. We got rushed back to Newcastle, and they discovered that she had, I'm not going to remember the name, pulmonary, I can't remember. But essentially, like layman's terms, she'd outgrown her cardiovascular system. So everything was like narrowing of her veins in her arteries. And initially we were told when we got to the Freeman, like, there's nothing we can do. Find yourself somewhere else that might do it. And then this guy called Mr. Hassan, who was like the world's leading children's heart surgeon, came to see us and said, I can try. Like, you make the call. I can try and do an operation that might save her, or we can keep her comfortable. So everything we'd done over those 6 months was driven by positivity. Like, what can we do for her? How can we get to the next step? How can we help her? How can we make her more comfortable? What do we need to ask for? Just every day was that, let's like keep moving forwards. So there was no option really for us when we got to that point. It was like, we've done so much for her, we've got to try. And then from that, and so then the big operation that she had was on my birthday, and then she never really recovered from that. Like, it was just too much for her. Her cardiac system didn't recover from that, and she didn't have the output. And then she got what's called neck, which is like bowels wouldn't work properly, and then everything got too much for her. So at the end of September 2015, everything was too much, and Evie died. But as I say, everything we did was positivity. That's what got us through those 6 months, by being positive about everything. So the night that Evie died, we had a conversation in the room with her where we said, her life's got to be positive. We can't have it that her story is a sad one and people feel sorry for her, feel sorry for us, and that's it. She's got to have a positive impact. So Team Evie was born, and
that night.
Yeah. That was well, not that we'd,
no,
yeah. But that
go
was
online and register the charity.
But that was the conversation.
Wow.
We've got to do something like this. She's got to have a positive impact. And then, her celebration, or a funeral, but we'll also refer to it as the celebration of her life. We said, look, I think we're gonna start this charity, because we'd sat for 6 months, and I mean, hospital's pretty wild, but being in intensive care, like, you can't explain the experiences you go through. And we sat for 6 months watching all these families come on with all these different things happening to them. So we saw so many opportunities to help other people, and gaps and ways that we could help, and built up relationships with all the staff, and thought we can actually do something here to really make a difference to people. So we just said, if you want to make a little donation to help us start this charity, that'd be great. We've got an idea. And then, like, in a flash, it was over £5,000. So then you're legally obliged to register as a charity. So we registered as a charity, and we've got a registered charity in our hands. This is a bit, like, unexpected. And then people are so kind and so supportive, it just got out of hand. And so we're doing what we can with the charity, and doing different events, and we started with things like our first portable library and different machines that we knew that they needed. And then I was back to work, teaching. Jill was back to work. Then we had another baby. So our second daughter, Imani, was born in 2016. And suddenly we've both got full-time jobs. We've got a new baby, and we've got a charity. And it was like, this is 3 full-time jobs which is impossible. Like, I am going to fail spectacularly at one of these things. I'm either going to be a crap dad, a crap teacher, or the charity's going to fail. So what we're going to do? So in 2017, I left teaching to start working for the charity full-time. And then it just sort of took off, because I guess, the more time you put into something, the bigger it gets.
I'm going to pause for a moment just to say that the podcast is funded and sponsored, if you like, by my work coaching. So that's both one-to-one and through gatherings. If you are enjoying the story so far, it would be fantastic if you could subscribe, or if you have 15 more seconds, leave a review wherever you're listening, and you can hear more about the podcast's tips, tricks, and ideas to bring more joy into your life at reflectiverebels.co.uk/newsletter.
That was a whirlwind of...
Yeah, thank you. We will go back, if that's all right. And obviously, I know you talk about it because of the charity, but you can open up or be as comfortable with whichever of my questions you want to be, and I'll be led by you, because I realise, even though you talk about it a lot, it still must be difficult.
Yeah.
So, to me as a parent, my reaction is just fear, terror. It sounds really scary.
Yeah.
And there will be people listening who can only imagine what it's like, but I don't think we can imagine what it's like.
Yeah.
To be in that position.
So people say, oh, I couldn't do what you do. Oh, I wouldn't cope. If that was me, I wouldn't be able to manage. But what would you do then?
You've just got to.
Yeah. You're thrown into that situation. You haven't got an option but to deal with it somehow. I've not really thought about this till you've said that. But I can remember the night we went to West Cumberland, we were like the last people in getting scanned for that 20-week scan. And them saying, something's not right. And then, we'll have to try and find somebody. And they stuck us in this room. And I can remember just sitting, shaking uncontrollably. Just like, what is this? What is happening? This isn't right. And just sort of like that, it struck a chord, you see, and that felt like the most fearful bit, strangely. Like, I've never done stress. I've inherited my dad's personality, and he doesn't do it like. And the older I get, the more I'm seeing I'm exactly like him. But so that was a bit of an alien that, like.
So that was the first time.
Terror of just shit. I can just remember sat in that chair shaking, and you're just thinking somebody to come in and say, actually, sorry, it's fine. Like that was a mistake. But what is happening? Because then once you're into it, you deal with it. I'm trying to look after Jill, who's going through pregnancy, and amongst all of this emotional, like pregnancy is hard enough.
Yeah.
When everything's going swimmingly, never mind all that emotional turmoil and the physical procedures she was having to go through to be checked on and looked after. And you just sort of, I don't know, you survive by, well, what do we need to do then? And like I say, we were driven by positivity, and maybe that's just my default setting of, right, well, let's look for the positive. How can it be good, but how can we make it all right? How can we fix it? What do we need to do? Who do we need to speak to? And you just deal with everything. I can remember, again, like talking of fear, like, because when Evie was born, it was just like, you're in the zone. Like, again, everybody deals with childbirth differently, but it was like, we are the team that's going to get this baby here safe. Like, let's do it. And that's what you're doing. So there wasn't fear. It was just like, let's get her here. Yeah. And then we'll deal with it. And then she's here. Oh, she's amazing. And then she's gone. But I can remember us taking her down to go for that operation. Like, that was terrifying. Because and obviously you don't get used to that huge fear every time. She went to the operating theatre like 17 times. And that is awful. Because she's in someone else's hands. Obviously, the best people.
Yeah.
Who you need, because if you didn't have them, what would you do? But you're just helpless, sat waiting for hours and hours. But having to take her to the operating theatre and hand her over to go and have an operation on the day she was born was like too much. But you just you've got, essentially this, if they didn't do that, like, she would have died that day. So, yeah, and I guess it's crazy the amount of times I say, well, I'm lucky because, which obviously isn't true, but we were lucky that she was our first, because that was parenting. We that was how we parented. Like, suddenly, like, right, well, for us, parenting is going to be in this hospital, in among all these machines and these doctors and all of this stuff that's going on. That's our daughter. So that's where we are. And so it wasn't like we had something to come. My sister had had my nephew, so I'd seen what it should be like. But no, that was our parenting.
That was your normal.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, again, you can't explain it to people. We met people in there, and there's a Sick Children's Trust of a house where the parents can stay on site. So you meet other parents there who are going through it. So, like, thank goodness for them as well, because you've suddenly got somebody else who, when you're talking about your day, helps you cope with it because they're going through something similar. Or, as with everything, you've got to have like a really dark sense of humour to get you through 6 months in an intensive care ward, and having somebody else who can find those things as well. So it's full on.
What happens to the rest of your life in that 6 months?
Well, yeah, and another reason I suppose that we're lucky that Evie was our first, because we saw families who had other kids, and you're trying to manage school runs and all that type of stuff. Luckily, both being primary school teachers, we were well looked after in terms of what, we were able to just take time off work and still be paid. So there wasn't any stress in that side of things. It was just like, we're not there, but our bills are being taken care of, so we can just 100% focus on her, and that's what we're doing. So we were there, and we were the only ones really in the unit we were in. Like, we were there whatever time we could get in the morning till whatever time they said, you need to go to bed now. We were just sat by her side all day, every day, because, you know, why wouldn't we be? And then the staff were always like, why don't you go into town? Why don't you go to the gym? Why don't you go for a coffee? Why don't you? We're like, well, we've waited for 9 months, desperate to meet our newborn baby, to spend time together as a family. And here she is. So why would we leave her? You know, not, and throw in the mix that she's critically ill and there's all this going on, but it seems strange that just because she was a hospital patient that we'd want to just go off and, well, she can, yeah. So, yeah, we...
Can I ask how you spend your time then? Because for 6, like, I can't...
What, in the hospital?
You know, I'm just going to have to ask stupid questions, if that's all right. And you can tell me to shut up. But
yeah, and
like, how do you... What?
So
from the time you get up to what?
I mean, obviously parenting. So even though she's on a ventilator a lot of the time or attached to machines, reading her stories, playing with toys, giving her, you know, holding her hand, stroking her head, all the things that you, like, 'cause you couldn't pick her up. But all of those things that you've waited to do. But it is long days. It's, and you know, I don't know. I know we're highlighting here my lack of memory repeatedly, but we're just spending time with her. But then, of course, you're constantly chatting to the nurses because there's always something going on, and that's a thing you can't explain. Like, they compare intensive care to a war zone, and not that I can in any way understand what it's like to be in a war zone, but that on edge of anything could happen at any second, and did, that you just think, oh, we're having a good day today, and then bam, we're not having a good day. She's had an episode, something's, you know, she's suddenly turned, something's gone wrong. But then doctors are to and fro into the bed of different, because Evie was really complex, so there was cardiac, respiratory, the intensivists to coordinate everything else, then the dietitians are coming, the physios are coming, like there's just an endless stream of people, and we're the constant, and we're involved parents, or the difficult bed space, as they would refer to us as well. But, you know, because we're so invested in, like, everything has to be the best for Evie. So if somebody says, we're not changing the ventilator settings today, and then the next person comes in and changes them, we're the constant to be like, hang on a second, like, we've just had such and such at the bed who says that's not to be changed. Like, and if we weren't there, what would go on? But also, you want to get to know the people who are looking after your child, and have a relationship with them as well. You feel so vulnerable that, like, I feel like manipulation's a negative word, but you feel like you're manipulating the staff all the time. Like, please like me. Please like me. And if you like me, you'll look after my daughter better when I'm not here, which is crazy because they're professional nurses. But you just on edge the whole time as to what can I do? How can I improve this situation? How can I help? So yeah, it was full on. So I can't think of actually what a daily routine would look like. I'm sure we had one though. We'd get to a certain time and, like, take turns to go and get a coffee from Costa. Yeah. And then we had the I newspaper crossword every day. Was an afternoon treat. But yeah, there's just so much going on. You know, it's difficult to put across that world of intensive care unless you've experienced it. You know, you go and visit relatives when they're in a ward. Yeah. And they're just sort of, like, fed up, aren't they? Sat, like, oh, I've got to wait in here still. I'm going to be in for another week, or I've got to wait for my operation. And they're just sat and nothing happens, other than when they come and check the blood pressure every couple of hours, and that's it. Whereas intensive care, you're, like, always on the edge. Something could kick off, something could go wrong. And I do a lot of talks to various healthcare places and conferences and whatnot. And one of my over-the-top impressions, but to try and put across, like, the voice in your head as a parent in there is non-stop, because it's so sensory overload. There's the machine bleeping all the time. It's got like your oxygen, your heart rate, your CO2 monitor. There's a ventilator going. It's got all these different graphs on that. I have no idea what to do, but it beeps all the time. And then it stops, like, she's not breathing.
What does that?
Oh, no, it's not. It's just that beep. But like, and then she's twitching because she's uncomfortable. And then as she had her nappy changed, and then they're giving her medication, and the machine's beeping again. The screen's gone off. And like, it just doesn't stop. That you like, there's always something to worry about, or that's catches your eye that you don't understand. So it's draining.
Yeah. And you said you don't do stress, but how did it feel, or did it catch you up afterwards? Because it was...
I mean, that was stress. Like, there's no way,
Yeah.
you know, that is, you can't be, although I'm sure, you know, you can only comment on your own situation, can't you? But I can't think of something that would be more stressful than your child's life being at risk every minute of the day.
Yeah.
So it is physically draining. We weren't eating well. What can you eat in hospital for your meals, you know, because we weren't going out anywhere. So yeah, I am really laid back and I am no stress, but then suddenly, like, right, deal with that. Every minute of the day, you're on high alert, which didn't catch up with me for a long time, actually. I think I just handled it, sounds like the wrong word, but like coped or dealt with it or did what you had to do. Yeah, just keep going. And then, so that was 2015, and then in the pandemic, not related to the pandemic, but just like wallop hit me like a ton of bricks. Just suddenly, I think, you know, we're straight into the charity. We've been full on in hospital. What can we do? How can we make things better? How do we get to the next operation? What does she need? Evie died. We went straight into, let's make the celebration the best it can be. Like, we've got to do everything for that. Right, now we've started the charity. What do we need to do for the charity? And it was just like, and then it just snowballed. And then sit in your house and don't do anything. And my mind sort of, not lost it, but like started with health anxiety. Just like wallop, right? You've actually had all this going on and you've not addressed any of it. So that's where it caught up with me, but it wasn't until 5 and a bit years later.
Do you mind me asking about that?
No.
What happened?
I don't really know. I think you just think, what is wrong with me? Started worrying about everything, and it's always about something to do with my health, and just spiraled a bit. And
Can I ask how it feels? How it felt?
how does it feel? Is it scary? Just anxious, on edge, worried all the time, constantly checking stuff, like something's not right, no matter what. So I ended up going to have CBT, and that helped a bit, quietened everything down, and then just slowly but surely crept its way back in over the next year or two. And then I went and had more CBT and had EMDR. Is that right? What, the right letters? Need somebody with a laptop getting the stats up like Joe Rogan. But so it's rapid eye movement therapy. It is wild. So, you know, like when you have an REM sleep and dream and your eyes wiggle backwards and forwards, that's your brain processing all the like bonkers stuff from the day, which is why you have the wild dreams. You purposefully get traumatic events, memories into your mind, and then the therapist wiggles your eyes for you. You like follow the finger, and it forces your brain to process the thoughts that are stuck. And every week I'd come back and Jill would be like, how was your session? Like, load of nonsense. Like, I'm just sat in a room with a woman wiggling a finger about. Like, what am I doing? And then one of the things I'd noticed was like I wasn't engaging emotionally with anything.
Yeah.
Which is a real shit, you know, when you've got young kids who are amazing and you've got all the highs and the lows and all that stuff. So doing these sessions, and it was just a load of rubbish, and it was like, well, you know, what am I wasting my time doing this for? I feel so tired afterwards and like, ugh. And then Britain's Got Talent came on. We were watching it with the girls and there was like a kids choir and I just burst into tears. It's like, where's that come from? And it had just unlocked all this and it just totally worked and it just like quietened everything down and that was 2-3 years ago. I just cope completely differently now. It's it's wild. So I always recommend that to people and say, I thought it was nonsense. Yeah, don't worry. Like, it's the weirdest thing to sit in a room with somebody you don't know, wiggling the finger about, and you're following it and thinking, like, really? She used to say, right, how bad's whatever it was, like, how bad's the thought, the feeling, the worry or whatever? And I'd be like, 4 out of 10. She'd go, right, do this again. And then she'd go, what is it now? And I think, well, it's exactly the same. But I just had to play a game. I went, 3. Right, 2? Don't know. None? Can I say none? Any less than none? She used to say, that is true, that's not a thing, is it? But it was working. So it's magic. So yeah, highly recommend, and I know people say get help if you need it. And we were the same all through the 6 months. They'd constantly say, do you want to speak to someone? We're like, no, I'm fine. Why would I speak to anyone for any help? And then we had varying levels of care, probably best not to go into, but we had a few dark days where we felt really alone and like we didn't know where to turn. And in one of those, somebody said, do you want to speak to a psychologist? And we were like, if there's anyone, anywhere who'll speak to us who might be on our side here, we'll speak to them. And then we went in the room with this psychologist called Amy. And as soon as we spoke to her, it was like she lifted a weight off our shoulders. And it was like, this is what people are talking about when they talk, when they say get help. And she was amazing. And we saw her for quite a long time, even after we'd left hospital. She was brilliant. But I suppose it's difficult. I totally sympathise with people who were like, nah, I don't need any help. Because until you get it,
what it's
you
like.
Can't.
Yeah. And it's hard to take that first step and to start talking.
Yeah.
You have to face it in a different way, perhaps, do you?
Yeah, a bit. I guess it's
Or you might think you have to.
I don't know. I think I just had a programmed thing of, well, I can manage. I can cope with whatever you throw at me. I'll cope with it. That's no problem. But actually, some things are too much, and understandably so. And somebody just helping you unlocking it, or even just sitting with you saying, "Yeah, that is too much, isn't it?" No wonder to validate that struggle that you're having helps massively. So yeah, it was a real benefit to do that. And say I've tried a few things, but that EMDR was absolutely bonkers, but in a good way.
But it worked.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, what else do you want to say about Evie's story?
I don't know, really. I mean, it's because obviously we could talk for hours about it because it was 6 months of all sorts of stuff happening. But I think I'm just really proud of her. Like, we all want to be proud of our kids. And I can't even, sometimes, to help myself get through something, I try and get back to her and what things must have been like for her. And I suddenly think, this is a doddle, whatever I'm trying to deal with or cope with. But what an amazing little girl to go through all that and cope in the way that she did. And still, smile, and you could see the love that she had for us and family and the nurses. But what an inspiration. Like people say about the charity, like, oh, isn't it amazing? And what an inspiration. But that's her. Like, without her, without me being able to say, this is her, this is what she did, and this is why we're trying to help others because of her. Like, there's children alive today who wouldn't have been without her. Like, that's bonkers, isn't it? She lived for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, what a privileged position to be her dad. Made my voice wobble, that. But that is, yeah, what a privilege. Like, I get to be her dad. and tell people about her and show her off and work for her every day, essentially, to help spread her story, message, inspiration, and get people to help other people. It's pretty cool, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
Should we talk about that a bit then? The
Yeah.
difference that she's making.
Yeah. It's so we started by easy wins, I suppose. Like, we'd seen so much in the 6 months that you're like, well, for example, them fibre optic lights. There was one set in our unit, and Evie never got them because there was a girl in who had quite severe disabilities who loved the lights, so she had them on her bed the whole time. Fair enough, she was there first, but Evie never got them, and you think she would have loved to have had them lights around her fingers and see them. And like, we have everything green because when anything green came on the screen, Evie would just stop and watch it. Like, she could tell it was her favourite. Like, she loved it, and you think, imagine if she'd had green fibre optic light. So we bought 3 of them, 3 sets of those, and gave them to the unit. Right, you don't need to worry about any other baby not having them. And so we bought lots of things like that we knew we'd have a quick win. And then more and more, we've worked with parents who say what they would have needed or what's missing, and the health professionals. So we do all sorts of stuff. Like, we've bought medical kit that helps the physios that's saving kids' lives, stopping admissions into intensive care. We've got like the vein finders, which are mind-blowing bits of kit that we get the community nurses. So it shines a green square on your skin and shows you where all the veins are. So kids that have got don't like being held or touched or have sensitivity to wherever, like the touch of other people, they can get blood first time, and it's changing care really to comfort items and presents at Christmas and Easter, iPads, TVs, like loads of stuff to make time in hospital easier for families. But I mean, we're on the verge of, which I've not spoken about publicly, but just sort of had a realisation doing boring spreadsheets the other day that we're like pretty much at £1 million raised, which is a bit for bonkers. Another, like, force you to reflect when you're not very good at it moment. So getting on for £1 million worth of difference, and like, that really does make a difference, because we know from the feedback we get, but we know from even before we buy anything that these things are going to help. You know, the parent bags that we put on the ambulances, so a family from round here gets rushed to Newcastle, they drop everything. It's like a story I tell often, but and the family won't mind me sharing it. But there's a little girl from Carlisle, for example, who was just a bit off in the morning and went off to school, and you know, like you do when you're a parent, you're like, "There's nothing matter with you. You're fine.
Get on with it.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
Don't want a day off work.
Yeah." And then, you know, it turned out actually she wasn't very well at all, and the fast forward through the day, she ends up taken to the hospital at Carlisle, and then she's really not well. You're gonna have to go to Newcastle. So the ambulance came, and she couldn't stop being sick. She got rushed to the RVI. Got one of our parent bags. It's got like everything to get families through the first few days.
Yeah, because you just jump in the ambulance and go.
Of course you do. That's what, like, what do I need to do? What do you need from me? You just need me there holding your hand. Right, I'm there. Like, you get in the car, I'm going in the ambulance. Let's go to Newcastle. So they get there, and as with all kids, and I'm sure it's the same for you, they want the mum. So she was being sick. I just want to sit on your knee. Can I have a cuddle and sit on your knee? And she said, well, you keep being sick and my hair's down and I haven't got a bobble. And at that moment, her husband's opened the bag and went, there's bobbling here.
Bobble.
And she's like, all right. So she put bobble in her hair and she sat on her mum's knee. Now, that isn't clinical, that isn't medical, that cost us pennies. But actually, the difference, that little girl, in that moment, being able to sit on she had meningitis, to be able to sit on her mum's knee and have a cuddle is the difference for her. She doesn't care about what the nurse is doing and what the medication is and what machines and whatever. She just wants to sit on her mum's knee, and she could because of that bag. That it costs her £10 to put the bag together, but that bobble cost us pretty much nothing. But the impact is massive. So we do lots and lots of things like that. And I mean, we could chat for 90 minutes about all the different things we do. We've recently started in the last couple of years, a peer support service. So lots of families have been discharged from hospital and have nothing.
Yeah.
And understandably, after the trauma they've been through, struggle, which can present itself in loads of different ways. So we have volunteer parents who've been through it that we train how to be a peer supporter, that we then pair up with families who are currently facing those challenges and they help each other through it, which has been amazing and is a real difference maker because, as I've said loads of times, I feel like already, you can't explain it to someone else.
Yeah.
You can't possibly explain what intensive care is like, but to somebody who's been there, you don't need to. You just get it. And when you say, oh, God, this has happened today and I don't know how, I'm worried about this operation or this machine or they're going to have a tracheostomy or whatever, you don't need to go into explaining it or why that's a worry. The other parent goes, yeah, I was there. And that support is life-changing. So that's been a massive new section of what we do. And yeah, it is pretty wild when you start adding it up because we work with and in units and wards right across Cumbria down to Lancaster and then Newcastle, Gateshead, and the sort of ambulances cover right into the borders in North Yorkshire. And, it's like 10,000 families a year who are using the things that we've bought or we provide. And we've been doing it for 11 years. Like, that's eye-watering numbers of people who've come into contact with Evie and her helping them on their journey, which is a bit too much to get your head around. Like I say, I'm not very good at reflecting. Actually, to sit down, to think how many people that is, how many families that is, and how many children might be here that wouldn't have been without that machine or that help, or how many parents might not be here because they haven't had that support. Like it's crazy, but obviously it makes you feel really proud as well.
When you do sit and reflect, what do you think now?
I'm honestly rubbish at it. I just think like, what should we be doing next? Which is the opposite of reflecting, isn't it? I think it is, what I try and do is I try and rewind or time travel back to sitting in that unit and the three of us just sat there and then travel back and think, what would we think if you came and saw us in that bed space and said, right, this is how the next 11 years are going to pan out. Like there'll be children's lives saved. There'll be tens of thousands of families whose experience will be totally different because of what you're going to do. You wouldn't believe it. You'd think, well, not really. We just sort of want to get a bit of money to buy some things and then that'll be great if we can help. So it's a bit unbelievable but that sort of helps me to reflect, thinking like, actually, that's bonkers, isn't it? Like you would never have seen that coming. But it makes me think of the people who've helped. That's the touching bit, I think. The amount of people who have got involved and helped us to achieve everything for Evie is incredible. And I think, we started by talking about me not being an academic, and I put all my time into having a good time. And that's what's ended up benefiting me in life. The fact that I always put my time into relationships with people and getting on well and having a good time. Those people have all helped me. Like when I needed it the most,
they were there.
They were there. And the people who I'd not spoke to for 10, 15 years, and suddenly, right, what do you need? I'll help with that. I'll do that. I'll be involved. How can I be? And you think, where's that come from? Good people, like unbelievable. So that blows my mind a little bit. But then again, it's just maybe just I'm proud of her and that actually, like what we're achieving is pretty. It turns out that wasted potential.
I was thinking that.
Is what timing to get them school reports.
You've
a
worked,
week
you've
before
worked
I
out
talk
how
to
not
you.
to waste it.
Yeah. That's it's pretty funny, isn't it? 'Cause you think, oh, blimey, have I? But then when you look back and look at what's happened, maybe I was right all along. Yeah. It's funny. Like, in fact, I thought of this chat the other day. In fact, I've answered one of your questions wrong. I can only apologise. Because you said, what was the last film we went to see? And actually, a matter of days ago, we went to see the first Harry Potter with the live orchestra, which was incredible. But the girls are banging at Harry Potter.
Big Harry Potter fans.
But and I've watched them all multiple times with the girls and never taken it in really. And then when you're in such an immersive space, like with the, your bit. And at one point of the first film, I'm going to totally garble this quote, so I can only apologise to J.K. Rowling. But at the end, Hermione said, with me, it's just cleverness and books, but there's more important things, friendship and bravery. And I was like, yes, that's my quote. Fancy getting it from a kid's book. But I thought, yeah, it is. That's exactly what has happened for me. Like, it is more important for me to have friendship than have read a load of books and be really clever. And in my life, having those friendships and being brave is what's led me to where I am. So, yeah, really didn't expect that to be my a quote I'd be using, but
thank you, Hermione.
Yeah, thank you, Hermione. Yeah, blimey.
Which brings us back round to the very first thing we talked about, which was those Friday nights.
Yeah.
And that family time and that joy. And again, a stupid question. So sitting here as a parent, I would think, what's the right words? There aren't any right words, but you can't survive that. You can't survive losing a child.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
Is my honest. Like, I can't, I do think about it, but I can't think that there's anything ever past it.
Yeah.
But you started off describing these Friday nights of joy and all this wonderful stuff in your life and this positivity. Close that circle for me.
How did we get there?
Yeah.
When Evie died, you experience all sorts of horrendous advice of people. You do whenever there's a bereavement. But every parent I speak to whose child has died has had the same experience of people desperately trying to make it better and say these things that, like, fix it straight away. Nobody's comfortable with saying, this is awful.
Fuck, this is...
I don't know what to say. And one of the classics that people say is, time's a healer, right? Which is not what you want to hear. Because you think, well, nothing is going to change this feeling that I've got. And, but the more I've thought about it over 10 years, like, regardless of what you do, and even if you process nothing, deal with nothing, time's happening. So you might feel exactly the same, but it's 5 years ago, it's 10 years ago, and that changes things around you, even if you're not processing. I feel like I have processed a lot.
Yeah.
But even for people who don't. And we, again, saying it, feel lucky. I've got the charity and I'm doing stuff for Evie. Like, that's my parenting of her. I've got Imani and Ine, our second and third daughters, who I parent every day and do all that normal stuff with. That's like family, boring stuff and fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I've got the girls off to school, I parent Evie and we do our charity stuff, you know, and that's great. And I feel like I'm doing something for her. But, and I don't really know how it happened, because that devastation and that heartbreak, like, you can't explain. And I feel the same. If I think about anything ever happening to Imani or Anae, I can't.
Yeah,
it's impossible. That can't happen. So even though I've been through it, I can still feel
so
exactly what you're feeling.
I'm not totally daft in trying to explain my question.
But you know, which is weird, because you think, but I've been through it. But I'm still straight back there. That nothing can happen to them. I am protecting them, and nothing will ever happen. And I can't bear thinking about anything happening. But you have to keep going. You have to keep and I think one of the big turning points I had with coping was becoming comfortable with where Evie was. That she isn't here physically, and I know that, but she'll always be in our family. And that was massive, suddenly realising I don't need to panic. I don't need to worry that she's gone. She's ever going to be forgotten. She's not going to be present. She always will be. And I mean, that's happened since having Imani and Anae, because they talk about her all the time.
Yeah. And
you think, we don't need to worry. It's not like, you know, in the olden days, people would, with any bereavement, don't mention them. Nobody say the name. I mean, people still do now. To pretend they didn't exist. But we don't need to. I am comfortable with where she is and how she fits into my life, and that was a massive step for me to understand things. But you have your second baby, third baby, and that love and like blimey, the anxiety around those pregnancies was obviously sky high because everything we'd been through. But then when you hold your baby and you get that rush of like love and happiness and joy and sadness and emotion and all the other, you know, it overwhelms you the same as it would have done for you. And I don't know how we've got there. We just have. And of course we have sad moments and times when we reflect on things or things that we don't want to think about that happened crop back up. But really, we celebrate Evie, we celebrate her life. She's part of what we do. And we've managed to do it. I don't know. I think resilience is a massive thing, and I would probably have a guess that we're quite resilient. Myself and Jill. Like I say, you know, and again, coming back to the conversations right at the start, you know, talking about Jill and our relationship, like, I don't know how you would cope. Like, I can understand so many relationships break up after the death of a child. So many people don't cope. So many people aren't here anymore because they haven't been able to cope with the death of a child. And all of that I can sympathise with and understand, people going down a dark path of all sorts of different routes. But it's just, I am really lucky, saying it again, that I've got Jill, for how we lent on each other through that 6 months and through the grief and heartache and challenges that came following Evie's death, because then there's never been a time when we've thought we can't get through it. Which is your question, I suppose. You're like, you wouldn't be able to get through it. But there's never been a time when we've said, like, we can't do this, we couldn't, you know. And then, the girls are amazing. So it's just, you've got to have joy. You've got to have joy. And a friend of mine said to me, I think days after Evie died, let yourself smile. Don't feel guilty if you smile or laugh. You've got to let yourself still have joy. And you're like, what? Why would I do that? You know, like I can't face this. This is too upsetting. But then actually you've got to, and that's okay. And then when you've got 2 other children, like what more joy do you want, you know, than the fun they bring? And we got, I mean, another thing to credit him, we got a puppy about a month after Evie died, and refer to him as our rescue dog, even though he was not a rescue dog. He rescued us, and he got us up every morning. And like, you know, what a joy! Like, dogs are ace. Surely nobody can disagree with that. But we didn't have the option of staying in bed.
Yeah.
So
you kept going.
Get up, get out with the dog, else he'll eat the sofa. So we're out and we're getting fresh air, we're getting exercise. Great for you, you know. And then, and so, you know, we can credit him with quite a lot of joy that we were trying to let ourselves have. That we'd always said to Evie in hospital, we'll get you a puppy when we get home, just because you're talking all day. And like actually we said after, the reality of that was absolute nonsense, because if she'd have made it home, she was on oxygen, she was peg fed, there was all sorts of things that, like, infection was an absolute no-no. Introducing the dog, licking everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, Come on now. So when we got home, we were like, well, Evie's not here, but we could still get her that puppy because that's what we said we were going to do. And then, when we went to pick him up, his kennel club name was like such and such, Breathe Easy. We were like, that's a nice little nod, you know. And he's still going strong, bless him. Strongish at 10.
Wow. What's next? I always end with what's next, because it keeps going, doesn't it? From this moment.
Yeah. It doesn't stop. And I don't know, which is a rotten answer.
No, it's a great answer.
Because people often say that, where's the charity going? What are you going to be doing in 5 years? But if 5 years ago, if somebody had asked me that, I wouldn't have said what we're doing now. So I don't honestly know, because the families that we look after and the health service and care that goes on changes drastically all the time. So suddenly the need for peer support presented itself a couple of years ago, that various people in different roles were getting in touch saying, we need help with these families, like there's not enough support. So we created something that provided it. So it might be that in 5 years' time we're 90% a bereavement charity because them families aren't getting looked after, or we're all about the intensive care or the neonatal units or just peer support. I don't know. I think basically keep working hard, keep doing what we can do to support people how they need it. Like, we're quite flexible, which is a positive thing, I think.
Yeah.
We're not rigid in what we do, which causes a lot of work. We often say that about the charity. Like, you do get these charities who are like, you know, whatever. I'm trying to think of a silly example. But a serious example, like, right, we're a charity and we provide them, what they're called, them heart starting devices. So all we do is raise money. We buy another one of them. Where do we need one? Put it there. Right, let's raise some money, get another one, we put it there. And that's the mission, dead easy. So you just sell the mission, get some money in, buy the kit, done. But we do so much, it's absolutely bonkers. And you think, like, we just cause ourselves so much work, which is positive. You know, I often say, like, I'd rather be busy than, like, fat and lazy. But we just keep expanding and expanding, because we're like, right, actually, well, if we made those bags for them parents, that would help that gap. So we'll add them on, but we can't stop doing the ones that we're already doing because they're vital to everyone as well. So I don't know if there's a point where we stop expanding and just do what we do. But we might. I think just keeping on being aware of what we're doing and the impact it's having. And if it's not having an impact, how do we need to change. to have that impact? And hopefully keep getting people's support. Which is what it relies on. So keep on grafting.
Thank you, Greg. That's been absolutely amazing to hear that story. I think you and Jill and Evie are really inspiring.
Thank you.
Genuinely mean that. Yeah. Thank
Very
you so
kind of
much. Thank you. Right, I wouldn't normally do this, but I will be putting the information for Team Evie in the show notes so that if you've listened to this story and it's moved you to support the charity, you'll be able to go and do that. And of course, if you've been affected or know people affected by any of the things that me and Greg have been talking about, which have been shit and difficult and tough at some points in the conversation, then we'll put some links in there, both to Team Evie's help and some other organisations, because like Greg said, reaching out for help sometimes is what you need to do, and it can really work. But thank you for listening.